Good afternoon and benvenidos and welcome to Tech and Tequila, the podcast where cutting edge technology meets smooth conversation, just like your favorite adult beverage. I'm your host, Kat Lopez Shelby, the founder and CEO of Shelby Technology Solutions, also known as your Techie Chica. I'm here and ready to guide you through the latest tech innovations, industry insights, and some great behind-the-scenes stories from the digital world. Each week, we'll explore the fascinating intersection of technology and business, all while enjoying a great glass of tequila. So sit back, relax, let's dive into the world of technology with a twist of lime and a splash of knowledge. Cheers to another episode of Tech and Tequila. And I'm super excited today because I have two lovely guests on the podcast today for Tech and Tequila. I want to give a minute for you all to introduce yourself and kind of give us a little background about what you do and where you're at, all the fun stuff. So let's do that.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for having us, Kat. Ryan Dugan. I am a senior CCaaS partner executive with GoTo. Been here for about 2 years and came over here from Nice in Contact. So it's a little bit about me.
Yeah. And I'm Anthony Jacob. I'm the director of contact center sales and strategy at GoTo. I've been here about, is it 2 years now, I think? And then I spent almost 8 years previously at Nice, which was in Contact, and then we were acquired by Nice. So I was an early in Contact employee. And then prior to then, I had run an IT help desk and some infrastructure operations for an IT company. And it was it's been an interesting ride getting into the contact center, cloud contact center space, and where this is just so rapidly accelerated, with the downfall of all the on-prem world that we used to live in, essentially.
With the running away of having everything on site and moving everything into the cloud, because we want to be closer to God, right? I say that jokingly because we all know where the cloud exists, but as it is. So you guys have an expansive background in contact center. And I like to say CCaaS is contact center as a service. So it's in the cloud contact center. And obviously now you currently are with GoTo. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of the history of like GoTo, where they've been, where they're going, the whole thing?
Yeah, I'll start out and then I can hand it to him because it's good to hear how other people see the journey. So in the teens, there was the company which was Jive, and then Jive was acquired by LogMeIn, and LogMeIn had done some acquisitions along the way. There was Citrix and some other companies that were consolidated at that point, and then LogMeIn became GoTo about 2 years ago now. So I think it was February of 22. Was it 21? And we became GoTo, and there was this massive brand effort where we went and rebranded and changed all of the logos and had a special creative team that did all of those wonderful things. And I think that we're finally starting to get back into the recognition phase of our life, where people are, it takes time when you change your name for people to understand who you are and what you were. And as soon as you tell them you used to be this, they're like, oh, I got you. So, there's obviously that overcoming that is a little bit of a struggle, but we've acquired some technologies along the way. We've acquired some source code along the way, and we've embedded all of that into our platform that we have today. So, Ryan, anything on?
No, I would say, from a CCaaS perspective or contact center perspective, I think it was, let's just say about 2020, we had some, quote unquote CCaaS light offerings. And I think, as a company, we got very serious about CCaaS at that time, started to recruit, some heavy hitters around the industry, on the product side. We brought over Anthony from Nice to head up our, strategy and sales org, and kind of started to recruit, multiple players and got very serious about our CCaaS offerings and really started to develop it to, what it is today, which I'm sure we'll discuss as we go forward. But just a little bit of history on the CCaaS side for GoTo.
I know it's kind of like when you think of GoTo, it's like the Terminator company where everything's like coming together. So you've got GoTo, you've got GoTo Assist, you've got several different things that you offer that helps to fill out that whole suite for a customer. But I'm super excited to talk to you about contact center because I love contact center because I think it kind of goes hand in hand with customer experience and giving the best for your clients. So you talked a little bit about a product suite that GoTo has to offer. What is, I would say, kind of, it's a two-part question. What is the big push you guys see in the contact center space right now? And what is GoTo investing in? Where are they putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak?
I think we can agree that the one pane of glass story is very exciting for people, and especially agents in a contact center, because the typical contact center, unfortunately, has a high turnover rate. They all seem to churn through people, and they guess that roughly 3x their salary is how much it takes to train up and get somebody else new on board. So having everything in one pane of glass is super important. I think it's safe to say we're pushing all of that technology that we have into that one interface for the GoToConnect client, whether you use it over the web or whether you use the thick client that you download. And to your point a moment ago, it's been this long time mashup of things that we've bought and acquired and then also put into that one pane of glass, where we had our heritage collab business. So GoToWebinar, everyone knows GoToWebinar. And I always anymore, or at least when we were rebranding, I would go and say, they're like, I don't know what GoTo does. I said, have you ever used GoToWebinar? And they're like, yep, that's the one. So I said, yep. So we've got that. That's been recently overhauled where it looks exactly like GoToMeeting. So within that interface, you have your phone, your meetings, your messaging, your contact center, co-browsing. So it's a matter of making it really easy for the agents to do their jobs and then not sacrifice. Because a lot of times when you even think about Teams for a second, everyone loves to use Teams, and that comes up a lot. And are you really going to beat Microsoft at their own game? And probably not. So we have to figure out how we work best with them. But you're always limited when you're in one pane of glass as to what you can do with this widget inside of Teams. So we're going while we have that co-opetition with Teams, we like to say, all right, but if you use ours, you have it all, and you never have to leave this one spot. And I think that, and Ryan hears it a lot more from our partners, that how much that UC and CC together story is. And we're really putting a lot of our bets on that piece.
Yeah, and I was going to add on, I don't think we could be on this podcast without saying AI, right, Kat? I mean, we got to talk about it at some point. That's what the rage is now. So, along with the single pane of glass, which I think we already knock out of the park and was kind of our strong suit, we are investing heavily, like every other company, in AI. And Anthony, you could, kind of add on to this if with your feelings, but I think I like the approach we're taking because, AI is such a buzzword and it's such a, a big topic. I like the fact that we're being very practical about it, in the use cases that we're developing and, already have within our product, things that, a mid-market contact center can deploy, they're, possibly they're lacking the resources and things like topic detection, reviewing conversation reviews, so that if I lack, the resources to have quality managers, to be reviewing all the conversations, I can quickly look through my calls and I can see, hey, this one has a frowny face. I better go in here and check out what's going on. So just to kind of automate some of those processes and make it easier for, some of these contact centers that may not have all the, the big resources of some of the big players. So.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it. That one pane of glass is so important for your rep sitting there, not having to go and log into like 18 different systems and look through 18 different things. And you touched on it a little bit, but I would like to get a little bit of a fuller understanding, because you talked about AI and you talked about, I forgot the exact statistic, because we all know we get on the phone and it's like, this call may be recorded. But in like real life actuality, how many of those calls are really getting listened to in order to, help, let's say, make that rep a better rep, but give that customer a better experience?
You could, obviously depends on where you're looking at and what you're reading and who published it. The consensus is it's single digits. It's single digits. I remember when I was at NICE, and this was on their on-prem platform that I think they've since retired. I think the highest video was, if you're doing screen and audio recording, I think the highest was 20%. That was the most you could record. This is obviously back in the day as it was maturing, but when you think about it, whatever call volume you have, if you listen to a fifth of all of your calls, that's really impressive. I don't know of anyone who listens to a fifth of all of your calls. You put people on these coaching plans where you make sure that the quality manager reviews 10 calls for each agent a month. And that's good. So when you think about reviewing 20%, that just seems insane. And then of course it scales. The larger the call center, the more calls 20% is. So I think safely it's in the single digits. If you even have a quality manager anymore, that's the hard part, is that we're coming up with an auto scoring QM module, because the guy that used to do quality is on the phones now because there's not enough people on the phones. They can't hire enough people to be on the phone. So it's interesting, that shift.
I was going to say, I mean, obviously attrition is a huge issue within the contact center space, and we hear it over and over again. With some of the research investment thing that you guys are doing, besides the one pane of glass, where do you see other ways that GoTo can help with, obviously attrition is never going to completely go away, but help with that employee satisfaction and keep people longer?
Yeah. In addition to those, Kat, is that where? So do you have anything, Ryan? All right. I would say that understanding where that data is going after the call is done. So there's always where does the customer journey is another buzzword in contact center. Where does this data live? Where can I see the customer journey so that the next time they called in, I know who they spoke to last time, what the outcome of the call was, maybe a summary of that call. Obviously disposition becomes like an old word at this point, because you have these auto call summaries where AI has told you what they called about. You didn't have to drag it down from a selection box. And I think it's more of that memorialization and that CRM integration piece. And that's another big area of investment for us, is integrating with the big players and more of the players in the CRM space, because we fully acknowledge, again, back to the one pane of glass thing, while it might be great to administer and manage and have your agents over here, for the people who aren't on the phones, it's important to understand case management, ticketing, all the rest of the workings of your business, dashboards that you have that are custom to your own company. So that CRM and those integrations and being extensible is something that we're spending a lot of time and resources on as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the things you talked about it is an additional benefit per se, is that it's not dependent upon the rep picking a box or filling something out, because we all know that particular rep that's like, I'm off in 5 minutes. How fast can we put this down? Whereas with some kind, having that auto summary set up, things are not going to be missed or misconstrued or, put to the side. So
yeah, I was just going to add too, the other piece, it seems overly simple, but because we developed our UCAS side of the house and the CCAS, organically, and we didn't acquire one or the other, just the ease of use. Some of these platforms are so complex. It's like it takes so long to get someone up to speed because it's so hard to use the system. And I think our system, the ease of use is off the chart. It's very intuitive. All the configurations, all that. It's easy to get someone. And give them kind of the flexibility of how they want to get set up and get going. So I think that's a big piece for us as well.
And that's important. I'll add just one piece to the end of that, and that's really important, because a lot of times you find to get easier, it has to do less. Like the system can only do X, because if I make it do X and Y, it's now really hard. And that's the balance, is making it really usable and not sacrificing what it's able to do at the same time. So I always reference the Apple world that we live in. Apple, anyone who's a control fiend doesn't like Apple. They go to the Android. You're either an Apple person or an Android person. Apple does what they think is best for you. And most of us go along with it. 95% of us are just fine with what Apple has decided they know best for us. And we've just kind of let them take us. And then you have the Android users of the world who like to be able to customize everything, and they don't want to be locked down, and they don't want to be told that they have to buy an Apple TV, and then they don't have to buy into this really expensive ecosystem. And I feel like we're really good at blending the two worlds. Like we do mostly what's best for you and what's going to accommodate most people. But we also, if you really want to roll up your sleeves, you also can do that as well. And that's hard to do. So striking that balance between what we believe is best and then telling you can't change it, even if you want to change it. Who jailbreaks their iPhone anymore? I used to on my first one because why not? Why not? But I haven't jailbroken an iPhone for since iPhone 1. So it all just goes to like striking that right balance.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is part of it, is having the ability to configure things, especially when it comes to the customer journey. Like what you guys were talking about is, okay, so if we're getting this call, 70% of the time and it's super quick fixes, you can create something, I don't want to say a call flow, or create something to help speed that experience up. So that helps your customer experience, helps the customer journey, and it also eases that off of the call center rep. The other thing you were talking about is the ease of implementation. So the other side of that is, in a lot, we see all these vacancies in the tech space. So instead of having a team of like 5 people to help, you've got 1, 2, or 3 guys. Can you speak to the ease of implementation that GoTo has going this route?
Yeah, again, because we kind of kept our platform simple, and we developed it organically. I don't want to say it's turnkey, but in a lot of instances it is, unless you have a super complex, a lot of integrations. With us, you're not waiting 6 weeks just to speak to your implementation manager and get things kicked off. I mean, to be honest, it sounds crazy, but you could have your contact center, up and ready to go within hours, if not 48 hours. And it's just, again, it's intuitive. The drag and drop dial plans, it just made it so user friendly that you don't have to have a master or PhD in contact center to use and really treat your customers the way that you want to treat them. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, that was great.
I was going to say, and that ultimately, at the end of the day, yes, you want to make it easy for the employee. You want to make it, great, but it's about the customer and giving them a great experience, because that helps everybody in the long run. But I would be remiss, because we've talked about several things, if I didn't ask you, like, with all the plethora of options out there, so why GoTo? Like, why pick you guys above anyone else? Or you all, if you prefer that, or y'all?
Y'all, I would say the UC and CC Better Together story, the part that we have developed this ourselves, we're not relying on anyone else. Just for simple things, like we know we're able to do co-browse natively. We have a customer journey natively. If you choose to not use your CRM, we have the ability to do some really great things with AI that we've just released this quarter. And it's going to be a very reliable system that you can configure easily, you can train people easily, and our customer satisfaction, our care team is fantastic. And you see that a lot of our competitors get tackled at the 1 yard line with their care, and people have nothing but wonderful things to say about our care team, us included, and they're very good. So we don't get you live and then run away. It's a matter of, we're here if you need extra help. We offer packages that are set up for your success, that if you'd like to purchase those, you can purchase those. If you don't, we're still not going to treat you, like a second-rate citizen because you didn't pay $10,000 a month for your success package. And that's a big one in this field, is you just hear so many rough reviews around customer success. So we really hang our hats on that. And then our technology, we like to tell people that it's pretty much unmatched. And we really want, and we know we have like the best product for our space at this time.
Yeah, I'd probably stick to the whole ease of use. Truly, it sounds overly simple, but it's so important because, in my opinion, the rest of the industry is so complex. And there's so many line items, and there's so many add-ons, and you need to pay extra for your supervisor license or fee or roles. With us, you have users. We kind of give you the keys to the kingdom. You have the autonomy over your own contact center. And I love our customer care team is phenomenal, but I credit a lot of it to also, it's just easier to use. So a lot of the headaches that you have on some of these other platforms don't pop up because, again, you're not having to wait for, professional services to fix something in your call flow, because it's just that easy to fix, and you refresh and your call flows, change the way you want it. You can do things on the fly. And that just goes a long way. Again, just the rest of the industry is so complex, and I think we've done a good job at making it very simple.
Yeah, and I think that you're hitting on a lot of the points, because you want your customer experience with your client to go well. And so you speak to that, because I know anytime you're working in tech, I won't say the number one complaint, but a lot of the complaint is around after implementation customer service, or, just in general, kind of how people feel sometimes.
Yeah, and we try to Ryan's point, we try to avoid all of it just by baking it in, so you can't really not figure it out. If you want to do a co-browse and your customer is on, or your if they're one of your patients or a customer or a client, whoever's calling in, it's easy for them to use on whatever device they're on, whether it's a computer, whether it's a phone. If you need to get in a GoTo meeting, they're able to launch that very easily from the agent interface. They're allowed to flip a call from a meeting to a chat to a call to a co-browse. I mean, it's just, I just feel like it's very easy. And having come from like the big enterprise world, and running into a lot of big enterprise competition, we're nailing a lot of the things that they're having a harder time doing, especially when you think of large contact centers. And it's interesting. Like we've just taken a different approach with how we deliver those services. Easier, and again, easier doesn't mean you can do less. That doesn't have to be true anymore. It used to be true. If it was easier, you sacrificed functionality. When we got away from that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, Kat. It's the same way, we kind of made a name for ourselves in the remote IT in the UCaaS space. Took that same recipe of, ease of use and giving great customer service, and we did it in CCaaS. So
yeah. Well, and I like that. And you touched on one of the things, like a lot of times when let's, take it back. I don't know. We'll just say take it back in time. I don't want to age myself too much. When you think of contact center, you think of like this big room with a bunch of desks, and, everybody looking at some screen, like a huge board, and seeing everybody's numbers and call times. And, I used to work for AT&T. I never worked for a call center, but my office was based out of a call center. And that's not the way it is anymore. A lot of your call center reps are working remote. So, I mean, I guess kind of speak to that as far as like a trend in the industry, or the threats that the industry faces now that it didn't have before necessarily.
Yeah, again, we work with a lot of customers, and that's one of the beautiful features, again, of our platform is a lot of agents are working from home, but with our real-time dashboards, it's like you get a glimpse into what everybody's doing. Are they answering chats? Are they on a call? Why is this queue backed up? And you have the flexibility to, hey, I need an agent over in this queue, or hey, I would need to manually send this, So you can kind of, as a supervisor, you can kind of monitor, all your agents maybe, all around the world, but you can sit there and monitor and manage everything. So, the bonus is, again, agents are happier because they can work from home. They have more flexibility. They can still get their job done. As an administrator, again, we make it easy to just sit there and manage everything, right from my real-time dashboard. So,
yeah. And it's, I in a past life, again, I'm not going to age myself. Running an IT help desk, that was one of my past lives, and it was really easy. Everyone was in the same room, and I would start hearing the same words being uttered throughout the cubicles around me. It was a lovely cubicle farm, and that part I do not miss. But it was, and I knew in an instant if we were having an outage somewhere, or an application was down, or something's, you all you watch is that queue skyrocket, and you start hearing the same words around the floor as to something's down, or something isn't accessible, or people can't get email, or there's something else is wrong. And it really has changed the folks in the space that we're in. had to adapt. And it's a matter of we're all doing something a little differently, and we're all kind of doing the same thing as well. We know that there's this big back to work or back to the office push that we're seeing in a lot of places, and then we're seeing the rebellious side of that as well. The folks are just like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to quit. And it's really important that while we know that these folks are at a premium to begin with, are we really going to force them back into the office? You don't come to the office, that's fine. You can put your dashboard on a giant TV screen, and that's fine. It works too. But the reality of it is I don't think that scale will ever tip back the way that it was before, especially with the newer generations and believing that they can do their work from anywhere. And I'm just as effective when I'm actually probably more effective when I'm at home than I am in the office, and probably work. The studies show that you work longer when you're at home. So the contact centers are benefiting that as well. They're seeing better adherence when people are at home, for the most part. But we've even developed our newest AI piece is that we are able to have a supervisor alert. So if we believe through real-time transcription and analysis and sentiment that a call is going sideways, we are alerting the supervisor in real time that so-and-so is on a call right now, this instant, and they probably need you to go help them. So do a 3-way call with them, because we know we can't walk over and stand behind them, which, even when I was in a call center right out of high school, working in an insurance, one of the large insurance providers in this state, I'd have literally, we all had the Avaya Callmaster phones with the Y cable on them, and she could plug in to my phone and stand over my shoulder, and she would, if it got too bad and I got too far underwater, she'd be able to tell me what to say. That's never going to happen again. And it's like, how do you accommodate for those people that will never be able to stand behind you? And there was some comfort to that. So as an employee, I felt like someone had my back, literally and figuratively. And we were able to, get things done a lot better than we were when that didn't exist, or if that couldn't be possible. So we're putting this technology out there that makes the agents feel like that they are able to reach out to somebody in a pinch to preserve that relationship with their customer, because unresolved customers or first, what was the metric? The big metric was always like, did you handle first call resolution? Were you able to handle the call handle their issue in one call? First call resolution I think it's still probably the most paramount metric you could ever go for, because no one likes to be left in limbo and be called back and have to exchange 10 emails or whatever it is. So getting those alerts to supervisors in real time, and then assisting agents with knowledge management bases, knowledge management, KB, knowledge base. That's what I'm trying to say. Knowledge base or knowledge management applications, and suggesting articles to the agent while they're talking to people. So we're trying to simulate them being in a room with all of their friends that they could just lean over to and ask a question to, or have their supervisor behind their back giving them the answers, or even having them barge in as necessary. That's what we're trying to really do, because we know that worked. It worked for decades. And all of a sudden in 2020, it stopped working. So we're building that back up, knowing that the world doesn't look like it used to. It probably never will. Sorry, that was really long-winded, Kat, but I just play my life back in my head of what we've experienced over the years. And it's been quite the evolution. And that's just over 20 years.
Well, I know. And I mean, I think when you look at the warp speed from, our whole experience during 2020, it's, it went from this is how the world is to a whole new space in technology. I mean, and I think you've really covered it, the ease of use, adaptation, being able to have sentiment, which I think is hugely important, because we were talking about just a little while ago, is nobody has the time to listen to all these calls. You need to be able to pinpoint, like, okay, these are the important calls. I need to look at these 10 for this person in order to, I don't want to say, coach up, but in order to improve their customer service, or in order to improve their overall experience. Because if somebody's on the phone getting yelled at all the time, that's not going to be a good experience for either side of that.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. So, along with that, and kind of going, people go, okay, are we going to stay out of the office? Are we going to stay in? What big, threats, concerns do people are clients coming to you? Are, we still have, I always say, we still have in this side of the house server huggers that are like, no, I want this server and I'm going to keep it and I'm going to hug it and I love it. I'm sure there's some people like that still in the contact center space that are like, we're trying to make this work, but, how do you kind of get to ease them and push them across the line to be like, this is really a good transition?
Yeah, I'd say for those folks is that just because you can walk into the data center a few doors down and touch it, it doesn't mean that it's going to be less or better or more reliable than what we have in the cloud. And at this point, the server huggers, that's a good term. I don't think I've heard that prior to today. It's important to understand that even in our personal lives, I was that guy for a very long time, and I still have. My team makes fun of me when they're here at the house because I do have a museum of old technology, and I love it. And it from cell phones to punch cards to fiber optic cables to early generation coax stuff. It's neat, but it's I think that's all it is now. It's neat because. Are you telling me whatever company you are that you're better than Amazon right now or Azure? It just doesn't it doesn't pass the sniff test anymore. You don't have the redundancy Amazon does. I'm really sorry. You don't. And I get that, all right, well, if the internet goes down, I'm in trouble. Okay, get 2 internet lines, get a cell backup, get Starlink, there are now where I get it back when we were in the T1 days and even the T3 days and some of the earlier internet connectivity models. We got into fiber, things got better. We have cell backups now, which are really good. We have satellite, again, Starlink, which is exceedingly good. We're on the internet in airplanes with Viasat, streaming movies while we fly. I mean, it's insane. So I think getting wrapped around the what if the internet goes down conversation is kind of dead at this point, where I think you could buy multiple internet connections and have redundancies on your internet and save 100 times more and pay for all those, by the way, every month, and save 100 times more than it would be to maintain this box that you have to patch and have downtime and hope the fan doesn't break in it and get called in the middle of the night by your ops team because something broke or if service stopped running. Like, I just think we're done with that. I just don't see the merits in it anymore. Not great if you're in some, ultra secure environment or you're the White House or you have some, okay, fine. You need that air gap between the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. All right. Maybe we're not for you, but unless you're running in an air gapped environment, I don't know. The argument's harder and harder to acknowledge and say, yeah, you're right. Because I just think people that have that mindset are just going to get left behind. And
the other piece too is, when you have a customer like that that's super on the fence, really hesitant to move forward. What we do really well, again, that I think is kind of uncommon in the industry, is we do completely free POCs, and our POC team is outstanding. So we let them, for 30 days, get them set up, help them, configure everything. And a lot of times, once they can kind of get in there, see it, feel it, touch it, they're like, oh, wow, this is a better way of, and then we get them to come over. So I think that's the other piece.
Yeah, the POCs are really important for our customers. Love those. They're like, it gets away the scary. It's a non-committal, and we'll do a managed POC. We only do managed POCs. So we don't just throw you the keys and let you run away with them. But it's a matter of, we want you to be comfortable with this. And if this is your first prem to cloud migration, those are the ones that are really prolific. Those have those are very sticky, and those are wonderful. And we invite people to try those. We're now in, when I started in my last job, we were witnessing the first prem to cloud people. Now we're seeing the cloud to cloud jumps. We're seeing people who have already made the prem to cloud leap, and they're going a cloud to cloud leap. And those people are still doing POCs. So it's a pretty cool thing that we can offer that ease the nerves maybe a little bit more so than this Paloma that we're drinking right now.
Well, and I was going to say, one of the big things I would think with a a POC or a proof of concept would be, to think of it like when you test drive a car. If you test drive it and you're just driving around the block, are you really getting a good feel for what that car is? And I think that kind of equates to a demo. I mean, demos are great. It gives you an idea, but in actuality, if they let you borrow the car for a weekend where you're actually driving it and you're getting that experience, I mean, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to fall in love and be like, this is the car I want. Now figure out how to make it happen. Or, say, maybe this is not it. But that proof of concept really helps to go ahead and nail that nail in, like, yes, this is the way you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you touched on that because I would imagine that with so many people moving to already in the cloud and moving to the cloud, that part of what I have experienced on my side of the house is people who made very fast decisions in a very shortened amount of time due to, 2020 or due to a situation. And you're seeing people go, hey, now we have a moment. We're already in the cloud. There's some things we don't like and moving over. I mean, are you all seeing that with those cloud to cloud moves?
We have multiple customers now where their contracts are running out from those knee-jerk, decisions. And now they have time to kind of shop around. And in fact, we are winning a lot of those deals. Some of them do POCs, some of them not. But it's funny you mentioned that because we just won a pretty big deal from an enterprise contact center. Knee-jerk decision, weren't really happy with customer service, all the things we normally hear. And they're like, wait, we can do this on your platform, and it's included, and this and that, and it's easy. And it was just a no-brainer. So we are seeing a lot of that now because those contracts are running up. So interesting you brought that up.
Yes. Well, I think we've covered a lot thus far. So if there were like 3 things that someone should think of when they think of GoTo and contact center that should help move the needle, this is why you want to go with us, what would those be for you all?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. You do it. Yeah.
Ease of use, which we've nailed 800 times. Customer service, which truly stands out in the industry, and I think value. Again, we don't have all these add-ons and all these crazy line items. All these features are included, and just because it's easy to use doesn't mean we don't have enterprise level features. We just again, since we developed it organically, they're just in the product and easy to use. So
I will do the legal advice. The AI is an add-on. Just it's just but we're not doing the nickel and dime thing. We're not charging you separately for co-browse. We're not charging you separately for omni-channel. So but no, right? I would agree with those 3. I really don't have anything to add on to that.
And I think now, obviously, we don't have the ability right now to put up a NASCAR slide. But if someone was to think of a bigger name or someone that you guys are here, when we talk about it, they have our contact center, who would some of those companies be, just as an example?
Yeah, we use and I don't know, Kat. I may not answer this because I'm not sure who we've legally said we're allowed to go in this kind of a forum. So I don't know, I may not answer that question, but we do have some really large customers, a larger national pizza chains, and some other really good customers. But I just want to make sure I protect their privacy. Had they maybe not signed on the line that we're allowed to use them for public purposes.
But that gives a good question, kind of as our final point for the episode is, where are you seeing, I guess, the most growth in the contact center are things that people may not think about? Because you just talked about a large pizza chain.
Mm-hmm.
Is it your insurance companies? Is it, where are y'all seeing that growth in contact center space?
I'll just go with my roots, and we were doing some internal account mapping and whatnot the other day, and they were like, well, where do you think you're going to make the most in revenue and opportunities? And I said healthcare is a really good one, retail is another good one, hospitality and any kind of entertainment businesses are another really good one as well for us. So it is your traditional call centers. It could be your insurances. It could be some of your legacy. When you think of as legacy contact centers, where you look at banks and where you look at cable companies and utilities and things like that. We are having a lot of success in municipalities. I don't want to say oddly enough. It seems to be something we've gotten really good at over the last 2 years, where you've got, it depends on the municipality, but it depends on how much the municipality owns. So, the Cleveland has their own power company, and Northeast Ohio Sewer District, and all of these subsidiaries that they own. But we're winning deals in those larger subsidiaries where the town owns the electric and the board of elections and so on and so forth. So that's been an interesting vertical for us, and I really like it because it's super relatable. Everyone in that room you can talk to, and they'll have had some touch with that, whether they called in to report an outage or whether they had to call in for jury duty or anything along those lines. So it's a really neat. I like that vertical. Is there anything that?
Well, I was thinking more. I'm surprised by even like the mom and pop shops, the landscapers, they want to open up at least digital channels and be able to text and chat with their customers. So we actually offer a really awesome product called Customer Engagement, which is, it's not, I'm not a contact center, but hey, I really want to be able to, text and chat and organize, some digital, and then also I want to be able to send out, a text blast or a promotion, so tax season's coming around. I want to remind all my customers, make sure, to get your taxes in on time. So we have a product for them as well. And we're doing really well with that product because, smaller companies also want to open up, digital channels as well to communicate with their customers. So that's another kind of surprise that we started offering a year and a half ago, and a product that's doing really well for us. Yeah,
and it's, you can't really even, I don't know if you can call it a vertical. It's more of like but it's more of a like a small business manual labor vertical, or something like that, like garage door companies. You don't think about who you're going to call when one of the springs breaks on your garage door and it won't open anymore, but you really care when it does happen, and you can get a hold of someone and they text you back because they can't answer. So it's just interesting. We've gotten some really cool experiences from having these, like Brian said, the mom and pop shops have really flown to our smaller contact center offering that we have.
Well, and I think that really, kind of as a final point for this is that contact center is not just about picking up the phone. It's, it's emailing back and forth, it's text messaging, it's a chat window on your website. And, unless I'm missing something, I think GoTo has kind of that full spectrum offering for people to go with.
We do. So we have the good, better, best offering from, Joe's Pizza Shop and all the way up to an enterprise contact center. So we just want to have the conversation, and we'll figure out where in that spectrum you live, and we'll give you the best experience we can. So it's more of a prescriptive approach versus you coming to me telling me what you think you want. We'd rather you just tell us, hey, here's my problems. Here's the business outcomes I'd like to achieve. Here's the problems I have. Here's my goals. We'll figure them out for you in like a consultative approach instead of I want the number 2 off the menu. It just doesn't. It's not a great experience for anyone, and we've really broken that down.
Yeah. No, well, I appreciate both of you coming on today. I think we've covered so much great information, and of course gone through kind of let's say the journey or path of contact center and said what all is available. Is there anything else that you want to add before we, I would say, grab our tequila drinks for the evening and be out on this Friday?
Yeah, where's the tequila, Kat?
I can see your tequila.
Not yet. My day is not complete, but I will definitely be enjoying it soon.
Awesome.
Yes, no, I think we're good. I think this has been great to it's almost a little therapeutic to talk about what we've done over the last 2 years and the evolution of the contact center, because I think that's why I'm passionate about it, is because everyone calls a contact center, or everyone sends an email to a contact center, or we all know the person that refuses to pick up the phone. That's a fate worse than death. I'm not picking up the phone. And so it's interesting to see the iterations of where we've come from the point where you only could pick up the phone to now to the ways that we interact with them, and how the expectations from the consumers are so different from what do you mean I can't text you? You know, it's like it is such a shift that's moving just as fast as technology. And when we all used to dial up to and not having smartphones, it's another one of those things. So I think it's just a super relatable topic. I think that's where a lot of our passion comes from that we have here, is that we want to make sure that everyone is addressed and that we acknowledge the fact that if you don't use a contact center in some regard, as a consumer, you're like one in a million. I don't know who doesn't work with the contact center and also expects the experience to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I mean, I'll definitely, like I say, hit the nail on the head with that, because, you know, talking about it, I can tell you right now, generationally, there is a certain set of people that were like, I don't want to call an 800 number. Can I just text? Can I just do this through chat? Like, let's make this easy. And I think if anything was covered today, you know, obviously GoTo has, you know, the combination of UCaaS and CCaaS, and then just having that back end in that customer experience, along with kind of, you know, like I said, the full spectrum of solutions. So thank you so much for being on today. We covered so much great information and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat, for having us. One great time. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Tech and Tequila. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. To stay updated about all things tech and more, don't forget to visit us at our website, shelbyts.com. If you loved what you heard, remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our podcast. Your 5-star ratings and reviews mean the world to us and help us to reach more listeners just like you. So muchas gracias again for joining us with Tech and Tequila. Thank you so much. You learned a lot about tech, and maybe you had a nice drink of tequila.